In a recent video, I shared a favorite tip of mine that I actually picked up from a clinic that Steve Patrick did, who's a well-known Nashville trumpet player, session trumpet player, studio trumpet player. And that's how he would oftentimes, before playing a passage, playing the instrument, he'd kind of hit to get the air like forward, set, and prepped and ready to go. And many of you had kind of commented like this has been very helpful. And I think for me, part of the reason for that is there's something about like when I draw the air down, it can be difficult to get it turned around in place, ready to go. And it's almost like if we were to think about like our airs on this timeline here, maybe if we think about it vertically here, but like, we draw the air down, and then it's almost like if gosh, I wish I had a better way to picture this. Maybe if I do it this way, okay? So it's like if we draw the air in, and if this is where we start the air, and this is where we want the note to start, we draw the air in this way, and it just seems like there could be almost like a little gap, like right here in our normal playing, which then causes like the throat to close and just other kinds of problems. And that hit kind of just like closes that gap, seems to just get that air column just right up against, ready to start that note, right behind the tongue, and it just seems to like remove that little gap that could be there, okay? And I don't always use it, but I often use it when I start playing, especially if I feel like, if I get that feeling like I can't just respirate in the instrument, have it just respond to my breath. I use that a lot. And I use it a lot for entrances that I'm a little uncomfortable on, okay? So if I've got an A on the top of the staff, or I'm playing with an ensemble right now that we're doing an arrangement of Star Wars, and it's like the studio arrangement. So that note starts on a high C out of nowhere. A high C is not really a high note for me necessarily, but starting on it out of nowhere, it's at a concert, it's just a little nerve-wracking. I'll just be honest here. And so I promise you I will use it for that. I will use that to kind of have that first note ready. And so I find that helps me quite a bit. But this video, I don't want to just talk about the hut thing. I want to talk about something else, actually. Years ago, I remember reading, and I'm pretty sure it was Walt Johnson, famous like Las Vegas trumpet player who played on, I believe, like a lot of the, I think Walt played with like Wayne Newton and Frank Sinatra. He played with with a lot of those people back in the day. Walt would talk about that when he would play and when he would exhale, that he would think about it as if he was like breathing in, smelling a rose backwards. That was like his exhalation. And so if we think about that, I find for me, and maybe it's just because in my playing over the years, I've often had a hard time just having the air just be free and just moving. That if I think about like when I'm going to play, if I think about like breathing not only through my mouth, but also through my nose at the same time, it kind of fills me up in a natural, relaxing way. And then when I go to release that air, I keep that same feeling like Walt describes as breathing a rose, smelling a rose in reverse. If I do that same thing in reverse, that air is kind of already in place. And I may or may not need to use any of the hut stuff. So I feel like that air, there's something about breathing through the nose that tends to just keep all this nice and open. And it seems like it just keeps the air right at the point of attack. It's just right there. And there's something about when I breathe only through the mouth, you can, if I don't know if the mic is picking it up, but you can kind of hear that when I turn that around, there's that hut. You can hear a little bit of that hut. And I'm not trying to do the hut. It's just there. And I am putting my tongue up as if I'm going to articulate. And I'm holding the tongue so you can hear it. It's really quick. But when I breathe through using my nose too, nose and mouth, that air is already behind the tongue. It's already there. So that is probably the way that I've kind of played that way a little bit off and on over the years. But I think when I go off of it, it's only because I've forgotten about it. I have a terrible memory. Sometimes I forget my own trumpet tips. When I say sometimes, I mean most times. But I've really been kind of getting into that a lot here lately, and I'm finding it's making my playing like much more easy and effortless. and consistent, which is like that's the thing we're always looking for, right? So that feeling is that through the nose. When I have that, like I feel like the air is just on the ready and ready to be delivered, and I don't have to do the hut thing. Now I probably still would on maybe that high C for Star Wars, but if I don't do that, and just breathe through my stomach, and if I don't do the hut, I feel like slightly choked here. It just doesn't. It feels like that air column is shaky. That it's not like really in position. It doesn't feel secure. It definitely doesn't feel as comfortable. I feel like I've kind of got the clamps on. And that sounds like my entire undergraduate collegiate experience. I said undergraduate as if I had graduate school. I didn't have. Sounds like my entire collegiate experience with my trumpet professor, who's great, Ron Prettle, great teacher, great trumpet player. But he was constantly getting me to just like, hey, you've got the brakes on the air, just let that go. And I just couldn't. No amount of telling me to relax, no amount of telling me to let it go, no amount of hearing his beautiful playing, none of that fixed it. And it wasn't until realizing that it's what I'm doing, it's how I'm breathing that air in, and then frankly either going like that or breathing in through my nose, kind of this retrohale kind of breathing like that, like Walt Johnson said, smelling a rose backwards, breathing in both times that way. Now, to be clear, while I'm playing, I'm not blowing air through my nose. I don't even think that's possible, but that's not what I'm doing. I'm breathing in through my nose, so all this feels like open. I'm breathing in through my nose and mouth, to be clear, when I play. And then when I'm blowing or releasing the air, I'm compressing here and releasing the air. It's just coming through my mouth. That's all I'm doing. This is kind of a mess. I should have a script. These are the first notes of the day, by the way. I haven't played at all. It's morning. I just grabbed my horn and thought I would do this session. So I find that really, really, really useful, all right? And I want you to kind of experiment with that too, especially if you're the kind of person that feels like you tend to put the brakes on the air, you tend to clamp down, you tend to get tight up here, you tend to fall into the troubles of the Valsalva maneuver where you start to like pinch and close your throat here. Try those things and see if it doesn't help you. Take care, my friends.